Hello.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to what? Becoming One Flesh.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk about marriage and mental health.
Yes. Yes.
It's a subject that people have a way of bypassing it
Uh-huh.
and making excuses for things, but we have to delve into it today to
Yeah.
whereas we'll have a better understanding.
Yeah. We talked about this, I believe, some years ago. And this is something that we want to, like you said, touch on again. And because it's something that I don't believe you can talk about enough.
Right?
Because people are going through so many different things and we have so much going on in the world around us, especially with people losing their jobs and health issues and so much going on, and it can affect relationships. Mental health can affect relationships. And yesterday, I did Wifey Wednesday, and if you haven't checked it out, you can check that out on this channel. On Wednesdays I do broadcasts for the wives, and we talked about how a lot of wives neglect their mental health as well, because sometimes we, even as married couples, we believe that anything that have to do with taking care of yourself, sometimes people feel guilty for doing things like that.
Yeah, and men too, go along with what you were saying. We sometimes, because we've been told that you're strong and whatever you're going through, but we have mental problems as well, but we don't address it because we've been taught to, like I said, be strong and somewhat ignore what's going on instead of just being forthright and dealing with things.
Yes. And when we're talking about mental health, what we're talking about, it could be any anxiety, maybe PTSD,
depression,
different things, different things like that people may be dealing with. And then one of the first things is to realize is that mental health is not about it being a character flaw.
Okay.
Because many people may have looked at it as meaning that if you deal with these things, that it means something is wrong with you, or maybe your faith isn't where it should be. And that's not true.
Yeah, because, there are a lot of pressures in life.
Yes.
Saved or unsaved.
That's right.
And as you were saying earlier, there are so many things that are going on in this world. And even the husband and wife may have different mindsets concerning things.
Yes.
You may feel that this is this, and I may feel, no, that's not what it is. This is this. And it causes a rift also, and that could be mentally draining as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, he don't agree with me. She don't agree with me.
Yes.
All of that other stuff. And we never address it, from the place that it needs to be addressed in, because then we just, what do you call it? Sweep it under the rug, and the more you sweep stuff up under the rug, the more dirt goes under the rug. And eventually the rug is higher than the floor.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And when we have to realize that we're human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're going to have situations and things that are going to happen in life. And no person in this world is going to go through life and not deal with different situations and circumstances, emotions, and different things like that.
Right.
Because even as you look through the Word of God, those that God used, they had issues. They dealt with different things. So we have to not look at one another as like we're supposed to be flawless and not supposed to have shortcomings and different things like that. We have to realize that we're human beings, and some people are going to deal with things differently than others. And we shouldn't judge them in a negative light, because they may have mental, maybe some people may have mental illnesses as well.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother thing that sometimes that's looked at in a different light. And that can be looked at.
And a lot of times we have trauma in our lives that hasn't been dealt with, and we try to suppress it, and it can cause these very same things, the depression. It can cause anxiety. It can cause all so many physical things and mental things in our lives. You know, what you said earlier about mental health not being a character flaw, that's so important, you know, because we've been taught that if we are struggling with anxiety or struggling with depression or PTSD, you know, or grief, that means we don't have faith in the word of God. You know, we can pray it away. Just pray and fast. But then, you know, sure, we need to pray and fast. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that doesn't mean you have a lack of faith. It just means that you're dealing with situations in your life that need to be addressed.
Yeah. And it's not always about being demonic either.
Oh, definitely not.
Everything is not a spirit. Because look at people, like you said, there are examples in the word of God where people dealt with emotions. Jesus dealt with different things, and Elijah dealt with things, David dealt with things, everybody dealt with different things. So it's not always about something being a spirit of this and the spirit of that, because we are created, you know, we are a human being, and we are created with emotions. We are going to deal with different things you know, in life, and we can't be so quick to try to categorize everything as being a spirit when we are human beings that are created with emotions. And you know, now it can kilter off when we don't have, when, you know, we allow those emotions to get out of control. And we don't have you know, we're not operating to the place to where we have, like I said, we're not able to really control those emotions the way they need to be controlled. But everything is not demonic. And I want to make that clear.
Let me ask you a question then with that, with what you just said. Why do we feel that everything's a demon, everything's demonic? So when you deal with things or suffer with, mentally deal with things, why do you feel that we are being taught those things? Do you think that it's because a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding?
Pretty much.
You know,
I think it's just easy to shift it in that way. It's easy to shift it to the enemy.
Okay.
Instead of saying it could be that person, it could be trauma, it could be rejection, it could be hurt, it could be pain. It's easier to blame the enemy than it is for people to say it could be me. It could be things that I haven't dealt with. It could be the pain that I'm dealing with. It could be this, it could be that. So it's easier to blame an outside force than it is to blame yourself or to deal with maybe some pain or some things in you that need to be dealt with. You know, and that's not to say that we don't have an enemy. It's not to say that those things don't exist, but we have to have balance, and we have to be mindful of where we're placing the blame.
Okay. I can receive it. I can see that.
Yeah, we have to be mindful of that. Yeah. And you know, and mental health issues can affect relationships. It can have an effect on your marriage and how you communicate. You know, emotional. It can affect the emotions of the relationship. It could affect a lot of things.
So you're not available emotionally for your spouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's something. It's like an inner turmoil or an inner thing that's going on, and maybe people that's dealing with that, they're not able to really put words to it.
You know, I think even with that, because what you were saying, it affects your communication and your emotional availability. It can deal with your intimacy with your spouse.
Definitely can deal with intimacy.
You know, and it's like, if you don't make these things available and aware, then it's easy to say, well, she don't care about me anymore, or he don't care about me anymore. You know, they just, you know, we separate. You know, just like it says, it becomes a silent killer to your relationship and to your marriage. You know, it affects your decisions that you make in your marriage. You know, it affects how you deal with your children. It deals with and you know what? When you deal with these mental things within yourself, and you can't expound upon these things with your spouse, then you know what happens? it causes your relationship not to be motivated towards each other no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just go along to get along.
Yeah.
And you don't deal with the like they said, we deal with the effect,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't deal with the cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That definitely does happen. And then even when it comes to those issues, that though you may deal with or get to the reason of you may get to the behavior part.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that it's okay for your spouse to treat you any kind of way either. Okay. So you have to be able to know the difference between why they're doing something. That still doesn't justify them mistreating you in any kind of way.
Okay. But then, the thing I think about it and what you just said, if I'm dealing with a mental issue in my life, mm-hmm. I need to be able to communicate that to my spouse.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to hold it in and go through all these changes and destroy the marriage.
Yeah.
If we can sit down and talk about whatever it is, then we both can work on this situation. Mm-hmm. We both can find the best solution to the situation.
Yeah.
And not just gloss over it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how he is, or that's how she is. But when we communicate, and another thing too, and I'm a stickler about this here, and you kind of help me to see that there's nothing wrong with getting counseling.
Come on, I was gonna say that.
And
yes.
Help.
Yes.
For your situation.
Yes. But we've both done that. We've done it together, mm-hmm. and we've done it individually.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mm-hmm. mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean none of that stuff. We deal with stuff each and every day.
Yes.
And if we haven't dealt with the trauma from the past and the situations in our lives, mm-hmm. then I put that on you.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm looking at you sideways because you don't, mm-hmm. Are you looking at me sideways? But when you get the help that you need through counseling, and there's nothing wrong with counseling,
nothing
people.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
You can pray till the cows come home. Mm-hmm. But if you don't deal with the issue, mm-hmm. then your prayers, not saying that prayer doesn't work,
exactly.
but your prayers become null and void because now you're relying on something outside of yourself instead of dealing with what's going on inside of you mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there are professional people that can help you.
Yeah.
Because though there's nothing wrong with, having, people, pastors and stuff that can counsel you and help you, but a lot of them aren't professionally trained to deal with mental health issues. There's a difference. Because like I said, everything is not demonic. So you can't make everything about a spirit, but there are people who are trained and who are educated to deal with mental health issues that can help you get to the root cause of what's going on. It can give you the tools necessary for you to be successful and be able to learn how to navigate through any issues you may have.
Mm.
So that's why, seeking help in that way is so important. And it's not a sin to do that. Because I even read a comment one day when I was looking at a broadcast and I couldn't believe they said something that was really, that might have been the craziest comment I ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
They said that psychology was a sin. And I was like, wait a minute, where did you get that from? I couldn't believe they said that. And it was like psychology is a sin and that's not, that you're not supposed to. I was like, wait a minute, how? It's a study of I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You need to know why people behave the way they do. You need to understand the mind. You need to understand behavior. You need to understand those things. I'm like, how is that a sin? But see, this is what I'm saying is when we become so religious to where we don't use common sense or we lack common sense or we believe that things outside of the norm is considered wrong, then we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I don't believe that's wisdom. God gave these people the wisdom to understand these things, to be able to create these things for a reason. It's not to take the place of him, but it's in addition to. It's to help alongside.
Yeah.
So to call something bad just because you may not understand it, to me, it makes no sense to do that, because all of these things are necessary, I believe, without having people to understand the mind and how it works and understand different disorders and mental health issues. People wouldn't be able to function a lot of times in life the way they do, because there are a lot of people that aren't able to really function without having the help that they have, or even, a lot of people, there's a lot of mixed reviews about medication. I understand that, because a lot of medication isn't good. A lot of the side effects and the stuff in it isn't good. And there are a lot of natural remedies and all of that. I get that part. But there are some people who have benefited from those things. And so it's just about, like I say, it's a case-by-case situation.
Right.
And it's about not throwing out everything along with our opinions and what we think and how we feel. We have to really, know that things were created for a reason, and everything is not wrong and everything is not bad.
Wow. It's one of the greatest tools in life is to be able to sit down and talk about what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely so.
Because even if it's grief, whatever it is, when you can sit down and talk about it, with somebody that's going to have a listening ear, that's going to be able to understand where you are and assist you.
Yes.
Assist you to navigate through those things. Because if you don't have that, then you playing games with yourself.
Yeah.
You're not really being honest with yourself, because mental health is a very serious thing.
It's very serious. It's nothing to play with, because many people have not been able to make it through, the issues they were dealing with.
Yeah.
They're not here to talk about it.
Yeah. You're right.
So to sit here and think that, they'll be all right. They'll just, all they need to do is pray and fast. They'll be all right. That's not the answer for everybody.
Nah. It's not the answer for everything.
It's not the answer for everything.
Yeah.
So we have to use wisdom and know when something is serious enough to where people need to seek help.
Yeah.
They need to seek the professional help that is available to them. And we can't, not take things seriously and get people what the help that they need. And then it's also important to know what kind of things, emotional triggers that people may have, because people do have triggers.
Yeah.
It could be childhood trauma, betrayal, and because both of us are veterans.
Yeah.
People have had bad. If you're married to a veteran, maybe you're a veteran, or maybe you're in the military. There are people that have had bad military experiences. PTSD is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
And people that have had bad military experiences, or maybe some kind of abuse or illnesses and grief and different things like that. So you have to also know what kind of triggers your spouses may be dealing with. And that's a real thing too. And that's why it's important for them to get that professional help that they need to help them make it through those triggers.
When I was working at the VA, I'm glad you said that. When I was working at the VA, there was a brother that I was counseling. He got hit by a bus.
Wow.
When he was in the military. So he was afraid to catch the city bus because that was a traumatic experience for him.
Yeah.
So, but talking and everything else, it took away the fear because he realized that was not the bus that hit him.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And just to throw that out, it doesn't mean that the incident didn't happen.
Exactly.
But with help, you can get past the incident.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then what happens is that you infringe your fear upon your spouse. You infringe your fear upon all the people that are around you. So now when you see a bus, you automatically, that's a trigger. No, I can't. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I can't. No. you know. So we have to definitely, you know, what you said, we have to definitely get the help that we need, you know, because like you said, it could have been childhood trauma. It could have been, you have been abandoned before, may have been betrayed before. You might have been going through a grief situation, because when my mom's passed, it took me four years after she passed, no, 5 years after she passed, you know, to actually understand that I was still grieving. But like I told you, one Mother's Day, I just sat down and cried and got it all out and was able to talk about it. Yeah. And it made me better. But I was holding that stuff inside of me. So it affected me even when I dealt with other people. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important to get the help that you need and understand that mental health is not a flaw or a curse. You know, things happen in life. Yes. You know, and we have to be able to mentally assess those things the way as we can get the help that we need. Yes. And lastly, we have to learn how to communicate with one another, ask questions, ask your spouse how they're doing, how they're feeling, how can you help them? You know, what do they need? Because most importantly, we need to listen to one another, communicate with each other, and be willing to, you know, make each other feel safe, because nobody wants to share if they don't feel safe sharing. Because you don't want to say, you know, come to your spouse and say, well, I feel this, or this is a trigger for me. Oh, that's stupid. Yeah, or that don't make no sense. You should have been over that by now. That's all that's going to do is shut them down, and they're not going to want to talk about anything. So we have to, even if it doesn't make sense to us, or maybe we feel that it's juvenile or whatever, trivial, we should be to the place to where if they come to us for something, we want to respect what they're saying and be a place to where they can come to us and we can listen to them and, you know, respect what it is that they're telling us and be a safe place for them to communicate. That's a great word, a safe place. You know, a safe place. Because I know a lot of times you even ask me, you all right, Joe, you all right? You know, you don't know how much that means to know that your spouse actually cares about your well-being. Yes. Instead of, oh man, you get old man, you acting like a child. You acting like. So then what it says, well, dog, I can't even tell her nothing. I can't even tell her how I feel. I can't even tell him, you know, what's on my mind. I can't tell him what I'm dealing with right now, because they're going to, instead of assisting me or helping me, they're going to look down and badger me. So what I'll do, I'll lock it inside. And when you lock it inside, it really deals with you even more mentally, because now you have put them in a box, that same box again, the way as they can't be free. Yeah. You know, because you ask me all the time, you all right? Yeah, babe, I'm all right. But it's a good thing to know that you notice that and could ask me that, because it lets me know that you care and that I have a safe place in you. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I have that in you as well. Yeah. It's a good thing. Yes. But when you don't have those things, then all those other things can trigger things in your relationship, and it can actually kill your relationship. Yes. Because now it causes division. It causes you to be separate in your thought pattern, and you married, but you just married. You know, you're not that safe place. You know, yes. I'm glad you said that about being a safe place. Yes. So we hope that this was a blessing to you all, and hopefully you will consider some things we said. Like we said, we know that we've been taught certain things. We're used to dealing with certain things a certain way, but it's time for us to come out that box, to break those traditions and things down and get the help that we need, because there's so many people that I know, stories that we've heard, things that we've seen of people that needed the help, but they've been taught that you can't do it that way. You need to just go to God and pray about it and do this or do that. But they're not here to talk about it because they felt that if they went outside of the church or went outside of religion and got help, that it wasn't a good thing. So please seek a professional who is
who is professionally trained to help you to talk about those issues that you need to talk about. If you need to go to counseling as a couple, do that. If the other one doesn't go, you go. Get the help that you need, and to deal with those issues that can help you to become a better person.
Yeah. And have a better marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that you can be a better you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we hope that this helped you guys. We will see y'all on the next one. And y'all have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye.